Hey guys, so I've never done this before. I've never just sat down and talked to myself like a retard. Well, it feels like I'm a retard right now talking to myself, but I wanted to make a small guide because lots of people have been asking, hey Lee, blah blah blah, can you make a guide? And I need help, and I've just started playing Enhance, and I'd really like to understand the gameplay better and blah blah blah, so here we are right now. First of all, I think that one of the most important things is having a clean UI. So as you can see right now, mine's like really, there's like nothing on it but my spells. Like if you check out some other people's UIs, it's really messy and trashy, and they've got like crap everywhere. I mean, if I like target that pops up there, and then targets just below it, and then usually when I'm in a group with someone, my portraits are just up there, and everything's kind of clean and set up nicely. And also with combat text, they'll have shit on their screen everywhere, and they won't be able to see their screen, and I think that's disgusting. So yeah, having a clean UI is really good, and will help you play the game better in my opinion, because you'll be able to see what's going on easier. So in this guide, I want to be talking about Reforging, Talisman Glyphs, macros, and add-ons, and I'll be putting them into the description below, so you can skip to each of those areas in which you want to check out. Okay, so let's look at gear. First of all, I want you guys to be having Wind Fury and Flame Tongue on the offhand. Last season it was Wind Fury on the main hand and Frostbrand, but now they've changed it because of the set bonus. So if you can see there, while your weapon is imbued with Flame Tongue weapon, your attacks also slow the target's movement speed by 50% for 3 seconds. In my opinion, that's like just as shit as the last set bonus we have, because we're already slowing our target anyways with Frost Shock. So yeah, it's pretty pointless. But yeah, anyways, so with the helm, depending on what comps you fight, if you're fighting a comp that's going to be stunning you a lot, I would recommend that you use the meta gem that gives you stun reduction by another 10%, and because if you're an orc as well, our racial will help us out with that as well, so we get even less stun. Otherwise, you should just be using the PvP power and Resil, because Resil is really nice right now for Enhances, especially because we're quite squishy. Going down, I wouldn't jam completely agility or mastery or any of that. I would follow the socket bonuses, so if it's orange, stick with orange, and if it's blue, like, check those in accordingly. But yeah, the main priority is agility, mastery, crit, then haste. Reason being, agility increases the attack power in your crit, which is amazing for us. And then mastery increases our overall damage, our nature, fire, and frost damage. And then after that, crit, and then haste, because haste just increases your melee speed, and it's not really needed for us. Well, it's needed, but it's not needed as more as the other ones, the other stats. I would go with the on-proc trinket, just because I have engineering, so I already have an on-use on my gloves, as you can see here. So yeah, I'd go with the on-proc, just because that way I've got an on-proc plus an on-use. And with the trinket here, I've gone with the stamina trinket, just because I like having the extra health, especially against RMD, RMPs, all those high comps that I'm sitting stuns forever, and I need that little bit extra health, because there's been quite a few games where I've actually died, and if I would have had the stamina trinket on at the time, I would have lived, and like it would have saved me, and we probably could have won the game afterwards in the long term. But yeah, so I've gone with that, and it's up to you guys. You guys can do whatever. You guys can grab the extra crit and mastery, but in my opinion, having that little extra health is really helpful, and compared to just a little bit more damage, that isn't really going to matter so much. whereas this could actually save your life in the arena. Okay, so let's talk about the talents and glyphs. First of all, with talents, I've gone with Nature's Guardian because you could be stunned, and at a point you might want to just say drop a Stone Bulwark Totem, and you'll be stunned and you can't drop it, and then you die. Whereas if you've got Nature's Guardian, you'll be stunned. You don't even need to use the Bulwark Totem, and this will just proc and give you an extra 100k health or so. I think it's around 80 to 100k. I can't remember. But yeah, that one's definitely the best. And it's Astral Shift. If that cooldown was a minute, I'd definitely take that, and that way I could have 2 walls, Sham Rage plus Astral Shift. But because it's such a big, well, it's not a big cooldown, but 1.5 minutes is fairly big, and it's only up for 6 seconds. So I personally think Nature's Guardian is going to be the best. I was using Stone Bulwark Totem, but because they nerfed it, it's not as viable as what it was, but it's definitely good for duels. I know that's for sure. Like, because duels are very short, and because it's world PvP, it's amazing for duels. This is the second line. I've gone with Windwalk Totem, specifically because I normally play with a Resto Druid. I sometimes play with a Paladin, but it's nice to have the freedom for your entire group, and I can use that twice because I've gone with Call of Elements. Earthgrab Totem's okay. I mean, I personally would go Frozen Power over Earthgrab just because that's a 5-second cooldown, plus you can root them as like whenever you want. And I've also got a macro for that where I could just be focus rooting the healing target and dragging the DPS away from their healer, forcing the healer to pull up on us, and that way putting them in a bad position. But I think Windwalk's definitely the best talent to choose out of that line because it's 2 freedoms, you can use it twice, and we've actually got 3 freedoms because of Spirit Walk, so it's 3 freedoms, which is pretty nice. And I find myself seeing a lot of roots from hunters and mages in the high brackets, so that's really nice. The third line, I went with Call of the Elements simply because I can summon that twice. Also, I can summon like my Cap Totem and Grounding and Tremor, which is amazing because Tremor is a 1-minute cooldown, and if my healer gets fed in a really bad spot twice in a row, I could just Call the Elements and chuck it down again. Grounding's also really nice. Sometimes they'll juke my Grounding Totem. Doesn't happen all the time, but if you stuff up and you say maybe you might be even versing a Hunter or a Warlock, one of those random comps, and the Hunter, your shear's on cooldown, and you want to shear the Chaos Bolt, you could ground the Chaos Bolt, and then the Hunter goes for a trap, you could Call the Elements and ground. That's just one of the scenarios I've come up with. So in that respect, Call of the Elements is really nice. In the fourth line, I've gone with Ancestral Swiftness because I like the passive bonus. The spell haste and the melee haste it's not the best, but it's nice. Haste isn't the greatest for us, but it's okay. But the main reason I've chose it is because of the instant hex, and it's a huge game changer. If you can run into the arena and instantly CC someone straight away and start putting out damage, it puts them behind. That's why I've chosen that. I was running with Echoes of Elements, but ever since they nerfed that, it hasn't been as good. I'd usually run that, and sometimes on very rare occasions get ×2 on the Elemental Blast and just global someone. Which was pretty funny, but since they've nerfed it, and I used to spam out heals, and I used to get double on my heals, but now they've nerfed it, I think it's not as good as what it was. So, and Elemental Mastery, haste again, is pretty average for us, plus it can be purged off, so it's pretty average. I mean, when I hear because I use Gladiator Losa, as noob as it is, it's very helpful in game, and I know a lot of high rated players that use it. But anyways, as soon as I hear that from Gladiator Losa, I'm just purging that shit off straight away because it's really helpful for them, and just can be purged. So like, why not purge it off? On this line here, So what's this, the 5th line? Yep. I've gone with Ancestral Guidance. Reason being, because I've macroed that in with my Spirit Wolves, and when I use that with my Spirit Wolves, the amount of heals I do is ridiculous. Like, it's like if my healer gets CC'd and they're putting all the damage into me in the world, and my healer is CC'd without Trinket, I could just pop that and I could put out lots of damage, and it's just gonna heal me up plus all my team members. It's really good. Rushing Streams is okay, but I probably wouldn't use it as Enhance. I might use it as Ellie if I was playing Ellie, but not Enhance. Just because Ancestral Guidance is really strong. And Conductivity is just a worthless talent because you're not standing still in the healing rain. You're going to be moving around all the time, so there's no point in really using that one there. On the last line here, I've gone with Ellie Blast, hands down the best, because it's the most fucked up spell in the game. It's just huge crits 24/7. I mean, I've hit, like when I was using Echoes of Elements at one point, I hit a 260k crit or something, and it was the most ridiculous thing I've seen. But right now it's still hitting really hard. It hits on average around 100 to 200. So in between that it's hitting pretty high, but normally it hits around 100, just a little bit below, but on average a little bit higher. Unleashed Fury was okay last season, last patch, whatever, but it's pretty crappy now. I mean, people used it for Rock Biter weapon, so you could be a tankier spec, so you could be a tankier Shaman, but now it's pretty crappy. Just because Ellie Blast is just too good. Primal Ellie was okay. I mean, it's still okay, but Ellie Blast just hands down just way too good. Just do so much damage with it. It's just another spell that you just throw out and it's just like boom, 150k crit, see ya. So yeah, that's why I'm using that one now. Okay, so for Glyphs, I'm using, as my major Glyphs, I'm using Glyph of Hex. It reduces your cooldown of Hex by 10 seconds. Reason being because it's faster CC, so my Hex is constantly coming up about 10 seconds faster. I'm also using Lightning Shield, Glyph of Lightning Shield, which makes me take 10% less damage for 6 seconds, and that's constantly in proccing. So I'm always taking 10% less damage, which is really helpful because Shamans are, especially Enhanced Shamans, are really squishy. Well, they're not extremely squishy as what they used to be, but they're pretty squishy, so having that Lightning Shield Glyph is really helpful. So for the third one, I've got Glyph of Healing Storm. I'm using this one because at 5 stacks it's going to heal you an incredible amount compared to what it would normally heal you without the Glyph. I'm always healing myself or my teammates, and when I have 5 stacks I'm healing my teammates, myself. I'm using instant Ellie Blast. I'm using Ellie Blast as it's a you get to cast that instantly with your full Maelstrom, and I'm either hexing. So having this is a great deal because it can heal you an incredible amount. And the minors are just whatever your preference is. But this one here is definitely a keeper because you don't want to be spreading your flame shock on targets that can't. Say if you went to spread your flame shock on a target and you're playing with the hunter, the hunter's not going to be able to trap that target because it's going to get broken from flame shock, and then otherwise they'll have to use Glyph of Solace. So I mean, but if you're playing with a warrior and you're playing Turbo Cleave, it's not such a big deal. You can get rid of it and use something else. This one's nice just because it drops down 4 totems. It's not just the one totem, and that one's just whatever. That's just your preference. Another glyph that I use sometimes is Glyph of Shamrage, just because if you're versing a paladin or a mage team and they say the mage deeps you and you can't get out of it, you can just Shamrage out of it. Also, if a paladin hodges you, you can get out of it. So it's those spells that you can get out of that can actually help you stay alive, or they can help you get out of CC. Another glyph that I use sometimes would be Feral Spirits. That's only when I'm doing duels though. So I'm getting incredible amount of heals. And another one is Purge. So if I want to purge a target twice without having to click it twice, press my button twice, sorry, that's going to remove 2 buffs straight away. So for macros, you guys feel free to pause the video at any time just to copy and paste, or I'll actually leave all the macros in the description below so that you guys can copy and paste them if you want and sort them out for yourselves. But yeah, you guys feel free to pause the video and check them out. Okay, so macros. I don't have many macros, to be honest. I mean, there's only a few that you really need. Everything else is kind of you don't really need. But so I have a mouse over. I don't use Arena 1, 2, and 3. I use focus target macros. So I've got the mouse over. So say I'm mousing over this target and I click my keybind that it's keybinded to. It comes up there, and that's my focus target. So that's that one. I've got a purge macro. So I could be purging the target right in front of me, just spamming purge, and then I could hold shift and spam purge on my focus target as well. I got the same for wind shear, so I could be shearing my main target and shearing my focus target. I got cleanse macros, so when my target gets hexed, I can cleanse them instantly. There's a frost shock macro, so if I'm using frozen power, I could frost shock the focus target or the main target depending on what I want to do. I got my wolves macro, that one there. So I'm using those two at the same time, and like I said, it puts out a huge amount of heals. I got my focus target hex macro, and then I have my 2 healing macros for each of my arena targets. I've also got my burst macro. So that's my burst macro there, and that's just popping all of my crap and just trying to blow up someone pretty much. These are the add-ons I have, so I'll just name the main ones that I specifically use. So I'm using Dominoes for my UI. That's how I have a different UI at the moment compared to the Blizzard one. Just because the Blizzard one is so spread out, and I like to have everything in the middle of my screen, just so I can see what's going on, when things are coming off cooldown, etc. Yeah, I use Gladiator Losa as well, and you can configure that one so that you don't have to be hearing all the shit that it says, like pointless crap like ice block, blah blah blah. You can turn that shit off. Like, I only use it for the main things, when I want to hear certain buffs going off, when I want to hear scatter traps, so I know when I'm grounding, so I can perfectly ground it, just because I'm Australian and I can't time it perfectly to, you know, to absolute best I can without having this add-on. Like, it's impossible for me just because I'm Aussie and I have a shit MS, so I need that add-on to help me ground, so I can time it as best as I can with my MS that I have, so I can ground the trap. Normally I always get it, but like, yeah, this add-on helps out a lot. I use Gladius X, which is just like Gladius, but it's just different portraits and stuff. So it's the same shit as Gladius. Use Omni CC as well, so it's got a little timer on all my cooldowns. So if I use this, it shows up right there, it's on cooldown for 3 minutes. I use plate buffs as well, and what plate buffs is this. So it shows when this target has flame shock on it. So if I flame shot the target, it's gonna show above their head like that, and it's really helpful because I know what buffs, what I have on them, on their head, so I don't have to overlap anything. So if I didn't know that, like, I would have to look there. It's kind of annoying, but this is really helpful. So now that I know how I have flame shock up and it's getting a bit low, I can just reapply it up there for another 30 seconds. And then when my shot comes back off, I can just use Earth Shock, and then it shows the Earth Shock debuff as well. And on top of that, there's the Storm Strike one. Yeah, so that's that one there. That one's really helpful. And if I cap stun something, it will show up above their head as well. And if I hex someone, you guys have probably seen it in my arena vids. When I hex someone, it shows up with a huge hex portrait over their head, so I know when they're hexed, and so I know where they are as well. It's really helpful. I think that's about it for add-ons. Oh wait, I got Shaman Friend as well. Yeah, this one's crazy helpful. Shaman Friend, just download it, try it out, guys. It's really good. It tells you everything. Like, it really helps you out with especially purging. One thing I really like Shaman Friend for is when I purge something off the target, it actually tells me what I purge. Or if I ground something, it tells me what I ground as well. So if I ground a trap, it would say like that I've grounded it. Or if I purged, say, Fear Ward off, I don't have to be looking at their plate to know. I could just purge it off and it'll just say, which is really helpful. Another thing that I have is tell me when. So, well, just froze for a second. Okay, so tell me when is this. So I've just set this up to show the buffs that I get. So when my Dancing Steel procs, right there, it'll pop up and it'll say that it's up for 20 seconds or so, whatever it is. Just try and get it to proc. There it is there. So 10 seconds it's up. So everything just procs. So that's my Sword Guard embroidery from my cloak. That's my Dancing Steel. And that there is my proc trinket, which is right there. And then generally I want to line all of that up when I'm going ham. So when all of that is procced, I'll generally tell like my warrior or my hunter that I want to go hard, and they'll be like, yeah, okay, let's go hard, and they'll get a trap, or I'll hex and we'll go really hard, and I'll Ascendance and Storm Blast something. Wow, I just parried that. Lots of fun. But yeah, so that's that as well. So I just want to talk about the standard DPS rotation. Basically, I want to run in and like probably Frost Shock them out of all the shocks that we have, and then unleash my elements, and then hit Storm Strike, and then start off hitting them and build up my stacks with Searing Totems, with my Searing Totem. You want to be watching that. Once it hits 5, that's when you want to Lava Lash. Boom, you Lava Lash, and that's when you get the most out of your Lava Lash, because it's at 5 stacks and it will do more damage. Then you probably have enough stacks of Maelstrom to cast your Ellie Blast instantly, and then you Frost Shock, and then rinse repeat, and then you keep going from there. So I just want to talk about your shocks specifically. So when you Frost Shock someone, it's going to slow them for a small amount of seconds, and you can keep doing it and slowing them. Flame Shock puts a small tick on the target, so there it is right now, and it ticks for around 8k or so, I think. Yeah, 8k, it's just ticking there. And then Earth Shock. You only want to really use Earth Shock on melee, so DK, warrior, druids, just stuff like that, just to stop the damage reduction. Physical damage, that's what it is. So yeah, you're stopping their physical damage, and that it doesn't stop it. Sorry, it reduces it by 10%, which isn't all that a lot, but you know, every bit counts, and that stays up for 30 seconds. Flame Shock, what does that stay up for? Nearly 30 seconds. Frost Shock is 8 seconds. But yeah, you always want to be applying Frost Shock just because to keep your target slowed, and you'll probably be waddling around as well, so you want to keep them slowed as well while you try and catch up on them. Now I've got a lot of people asking me, but Enhance is so blah blah blah, you can't, once you've used your shocks, your Ellie Blast, your Storm Strike, your Lava Lash, everything is in cooldown, what do I do? I mean, once you've done that, look right now, see, everything's coming back off cooldown, but it's very, very slow. See, right now, everything's on cooldown, and I'm waiting. In that time, You could be just auto attacking, you can be shearing things, you could be dropping totems to help, Earthbind, healing totem, you could be healing up yourself, members of your team, you could be hexing anyone, you could be purging. That's a good one, a really good gap breaker, purge, because you're purging all the buffs off your target. I think that one's really good. So maybe in between all of that, you could be purging plus dropping totems and helping your partners out by healing them and shearing oncoming CC and big attack, big spells like Chaos Bolt. Those ones are really important. And just aiding your partners with your totems, which is really helpful. Another thing I want to talk about is Ellie Blast and how to use it correctly, because I've seen a lot of people just cast it whenever. You want your target to have this debuff right here. So you want to Storm Strike them beforehand, and you want to make sure that debuff is on them, because after that you'll be casting Unleash Elements, and it will give you this. Damage dealt by the next fire spell is increased by 30%, and Ellie Blast is partly a fire damage spell. So you want to Storm Strike, you've got that debuff there, 25% more damage. So it's 25% more damage to Ellie Blast, plus this, another 30%, and then boom, Ellie Blast, and that's when you'll get a really huge crit. It's not going to be all the time, you're not going to get a crit all the time, but it's definitely going to help out towards the larger crit that you will get, and it's definitely worth it. Definitely worth Storm Strike, Unleashing, and then Ellie Blasting. Anyways guys, that's a wrap for now, so just let me know if I've missed anything, or if you've got any questions, just leave a comment below and I'll be sure to get back to you. Thanks for watching.